my reviews of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies have come to the close. So, you know what that means? It's time to review them. Let's go! So, hello everyone, and welcome to my final ranking. As many of you know, when I'm finished a movie franchise, I do a ranking, then I move on to the next franchise. And I'll give a short teaser frame of the next franchise that I'll be doing. The review will probably come out either today or tomorrow. I think tomorrow, maybe. Probably. See if you can guess what it is. So, anyway, remember, this is just my opinion. My opinion isn't the right opinion, it's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Remember, movies were made to connect. And the Lord of the Rings franchise means so much to me. Ever since I was really young, I was really fascinated by these books and movies. So, coming up in last place, I have The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. I find that this movie was stretched out and relied a bit too much on references, as well as telling its own different story with the orcs, which I feel like could have been chopped off. I find that the conflict due to Thorin's dragon sickness should have been more internal, and the more of the aftermath rather than the orcs, which is a totally new storyline, which could make this movie hard for it to be concise on its single plot or premise. But there are still some good things. The scenery in this movie is beautiful. It is shown through every Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movie. And the acting is really great. Everyone's doing a great job. In fifth place, we have The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. Same thing. The scenery in this movie is great. The imagination in this movie is also pretty good, as well as the acting. Everyone's doing a good job portraying the characters, and that's done really well. But same thing, I find that the separate story could feel a bit stretched and took quite a bit of exposition and time to get this movie going, as well as I find that this movie should have been also a bit more concise on telling its own story and a sense of urgency, because as I said in a comparison, is in the Lord of the Rings, in the Fellowship of the Ring, Sauron sent these Nazgûl to hunt down the ring. In this movie, did not exactly that, so it could remove a bit of a sense of urgency. In fourth place, we have The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. This is probably my favorite of the Hobbit trilogy. The scenery in this movie is good, the pacing in this movie is better, also the action beats are better and are really good to look at. Still, I find that this movie, at times, still is stretched out a bit and could struggle to be a bit concise, but it is definitely better in this movie. But it just takes like 3/4 of this movie to get to what this movie wants to be. For the rest, it feels like an entirely new plot, which feels out of place, because I find that the headspace should be focused on Smaug rather than the orcs, because that's like a separate storyline, and that's not exactly the roots of this premise, and it could make it hard for this movie to juggle as many things. But the scenery in this movie is also great, as well as the acting. Everyone's doing a good job. In third place, we have The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. I absolutely love this movie. It has some great scenery, some great world building, some great acting, some great characters, and really likable characters that you can just feel for. It really sets up this trilogy as a whole really well. The music in here is so iconic. It's probably one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, but it's not a perfect movie. I find that really the character arcs of some of the Hobbits were a bit rushed, sadly. I do find that it would be better if we got a bit more of a clear arc on why Frodo wanted to now help take the ring to Mordor, because going from a Hobbit that's just like partying to taking a ring to Mordor, I find was a bit sudden. But overall, it's a really great movie. And the runner-up is The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. This is probably one of the best sequels of all times. It expands on the mythology, and it shows how desperate, and continues the arc of our characters really well, as well as deepening our characters and the arcs and the friendship. And really the main story with some great action sequences. It expands the world. I really don't exactly have a big problem with this movie. It's more dark than the first one. It really sets up the third one really great. And in first place, I have The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. I absolutely love this movie. It expands our characters so well. It is very satisfying, and it shows how our characters have evolved. It also does the same thing that the previous two has done so well, which is it expands the universe and our characters that so well go to emotional grounds, and that's absolutely what I love. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more content like this. Thanks. Bye. See you later.